We did it, Ed. It worked.
We did?
Absolutely.
What worked?
The grand idea, buddy. The process.
Huh.
Ed, we've just witnessed a peaceful transition in government. Do you realize how miraculous that is?
I think so.
You think so? Listen to me. Despite Russia, despite Germany, the mass of people on this planet still live under the yoke of some autocratic or totalitarian regime. You hear me? Today, tiny Sicily, Alaska stood up and put another W in the win category for democracy.
Well, all right.
Hey!
Okay, guys, democracies today are still the same as dictatorships. And you're going to say, how dare you, it's different. No, it's not different. And the reason it's not different, the reason that people in so-called democratic countries like Canada, United States, pretty much all of them, it's what I've been saying in a lot of my vlogs talking about the human condition. And you can maybe pick it up here a little bit too. Is populations get the candidates or leaders they deserve or they allow. And it's either they're not active participants in their own lives or the lives of the communities they claim to care about, or they're extremely ignorant and easily manipulated. So it's the same today. It's even worse today at a time where it needs to be the opposite. We need an educated and active participant type of citizen in every country of the world because of the democracy. And that includes, again, people that protest and that don't argue with cops and that know they are going to get arrested and eventually they'll get released. If everybody does this, do you really think the court system can keep up? Of course, they'll be like, okay, if people weren't violent during this protest, eventually release them. And if you want to do a criminal record for these people, then you should only vote for the next candidate that says people that were not violent, that protested for change, either to democracy, and they were active participants, they continued to be non-violent, then they should have no criminal record, and then they're back to normal. That would be, active participants in democracy, and I don't know of any nation. I see places where there's more of these types of things, but still not enough. And also, and still not by the right people, because it should be the candidates in these political elections also. They'll say, if they're claiming that they want to do something about the environmental issues, no matter how they understand it or not, and you can see they don't understand much of it, and that includes the Green Party in Canada, all the interconnectedness. They can't really separate the anthropocentric from the ecocentric. You can really tell with our Green Party here. That's why I don't believe it exists. Well, if they're not going to get arrested, and you could say, well, they couldn't be, well, then there should be petitions say, hey, that guy's walking the talk of his environmental values, and we're going to vote for him, and you can't take it away because he somehow has again, you have to change everything, and you have to always be actively participating in non-violent ways. And what's sad is police officers often, they'll start shedding tears that they're arresting their neighbors, their family members, their colleagues, people they're going to vote for. And it's sad because they start to see, oh my God, I'm serving something that's broken. And maybe next time these police officers will be off duty. And when they are off duty, let's say because they're not scheduled to work and maybe the petitioning is not big enough that they're not insisted on going to work, is they can join. And how could he be a police officer? Well, no offense, but out of all the roles in society in the United States and Canada that you can get away with having a criminal record and doing criminal things and going back to work, it's pretty much police. So they should be a little bit less worried than, let's say, a doctor or something like that.
You haven't said anything for quite a while, Ed.
Ruthann, do you realize that the mass of people still live under some autocratic or totalitarian type regime.
Well, I suppose that's true.
It'll make you think.
Ed, are you all right?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine.
You sure?
Yeah. I feel,
What?
well, manly. Like a man. Ruth Ann, do you realize I did something today, well, that I've never done before? And it was kind of like the first time I was with Light Feather. Well, only that was just between me and her. But afterwards I felt, well, light. And this, well, this was between me and Cicely. I don't feel light at all. I feel bigger.
By the way, Ed probably felt a more emotional climax during the voting portion, you know, when he went into the booth and put his ballot in the box. But the thing is Ed was an active participant in the sense, especially for the first time, he did a great job. He asked a lot of questions. He read literature. He was, he participated in a debate. He participated in the election process with helping out with a lot of things. He was, he was as involved as the candidates themselves or other people that had specific roles in how the election balloting was going to go and all that stuff. So his manliness, he might not know, is not just about that one act. It's about the entire process that he chose to go through to inform himself, not just about candidates or democracy or the voting process, but also just how the entire idea goes and how he can participate in it. So yes, he did become more manly. So that makes me think, is there a way that people that are lazy in, their active participation is sometimes, do they actually want re-elections because they only get the power from getting off their couch and criticizing other people without much knowledge about what they're saying or what they think the topic is, and they just want to vote more often than once every 4 years? And that's sad. It could be measurable with a particular survey to ask people why they think there should be an election before the term usually is done, and if the reasons are valid, or it's just that person wants to get that ego boost to their manhood and just kind of kick somebody out just for the sake of their own feelings and replace with somebody that they have no evidence that is a risk to put in place of the other one, which is somebody they knew that they could have protested to help guide that person on the right path when they were not, because they're already in the role. So in a way, it could be anti-democratic to ask for re-elections too often by a population, not just opposing candidates, without having the arguments to back it up. And if you see, like Doug Ford right now, I haven't seen what he said, but he's changing his tune about the Greenbelt topic. But how long did it take for that? And changing your tune that late compared to, Holling, who at the beginning was saying, yeah, maybe I was wrong with this thing. Early on. And then, okay, well, that didn't work. So then he's going to continue. So again, there's a lot of accountability in this, and people have to realize that even after the election is over, it begins again right the next day to be active participants and see how the new candidates are doing.
We are not enemies, but friends. We must not be enemies. Though passion may have strained, it must not break the bonds of our affection. Lincoln's words to a divided nation, my counsel to a divided Sicily.
So Maggie and Joel were pretty heated, and then at the end they were proud they did a good job because they had two very big roles in making this election process happen with the ballots, the voting, and all the the bureaucratic paperwork stuff. And so they have a history before this day, but still they're back to being friends, and that's important. And guys, are you really a healthy democratic nation if instead of knowing that tomorrow it starts again, the active process, and it's not about hatred or enemies or tribe versus tribe, it's about restarting the process. And the process isn't again from now to 4 years later, as I've been mentioning in these 3 different vlogs and many others on lessons in democracy, and what some people that are really manly or womanly in their maturation process are doing with peaceful protests, for example. That's real, and you can do that even if it's not a democratic country. And some countries are not even democratic, and they say it and everybody knows it, and yet sometimes there's democratic in their name. So people could say, hey, wait, there's democratic in the name of our country. Why would you want to arrest us for this peaceful